keep your microphone muted unless myself or Chris are asking you to and inviting you to ask your question. Please show your full name as you have registered so we know who actually attended. Next to your name, you're going to see a more button. So if you click there, you have the option to change your name. Any issues, please do reach out to any of my colleagues and they will guide you how to do that, or they can do it for you. Questions are welcome anytime in the chat. And towards the end of the session, we'll have a Q&A session and then we can pick up on those. If you have any connection issues, switching off your video can help. Do let us know if you have any technical issues. Okay, in the chat, you can introduce yourself, ask questions, network. It's not just a training, a workshop, it's a networking opportunity as well. So the more businesses talk to each other during these sessions, the happy we are. Okay, copy of the presentation and the next steps will be circulated after the workshop. And this session is recorded, but only the presentation is not your image or name. In the chat, you might notice a message saying that you can save or you can download the chat, but that is disabled, just that we cannot disable the actual text saying that. Okay, as usual, Chris from Unmissable England is gonna run the session, is gonna present. Hopefully some of you already know him for our previous trainings. Okay, Chris, yeah. This is almost the last in our series of training. We have one more in November. The previous sessions have touched on what is experiential tourism, how to develop a visitor experience, on storytelling, marketing and distribution, marketing and social media. You can find all those on the Resources Hub. My colleagues are going to put the link. And we also have a YouTube channel with the recordings from the previous training. The beauty of the Resources Hub is that everything is free and you can benefit not only from the training that has been delivered by us, Norfolk County Council, but also from our partners in the other regions in England and in France. Experience is a project spreading over 6 regions, 3 in England and 3 in France. Okay. The final training is going to be on the 15th and 17th of November, and the topic is going to be walkers and cyclists and how you can attract them for your business. Yeah, then we have the networking event, which is going to happen on the 16th of November. And this is an event which started as a networking, and now it's networking / mini tourist fair. So we're going to have exhibitors. They will display what experience they have created through the project. So it's going to be quite interesting. We're going to have glass bead making demonstration. We're going to have people bringing paddle boards. We're going to have e-bikes, food and like food tasting, like local cheeses and honey, and even business clinics. So it's something definitely to keep in mind and try to attend. I have sent invitations out yesterday, but in the follow-up email past this training, we're going to include that as well. Although we are coming to an end to our training program soon, please do sign up to the Norfolk newsletter because we are still delivering to the project, and I'm sure it's going to be interesting for many of you what's happening. And not lastly, we have a Norfolk Experience Facebook group. We already have 80, 90 people that are joined there. So that is quite interesting and it's good for networking and for seeing what's next in the project. Okay, Chris, next, please. Yeah. Finally, after many months of work and developing, we have launched the Norfolk website, which is an inspirational magazine-style online platform which showcases Norfolk's experiential tourism offer. It also allows visitors to select and curate their own experiences. The name Be Norfolk and the brand Be Norfolk hasn't been chosen randomly. This is because we want the people visiting Norfolk to become one with the place, be present, so they can experience fully all the beautiful things the area has to offer. So the website is now live for a couple of weeks. We have more than 220 experiences and activities listed, and also several itineraries. Okay. Thank you for those that have contributed to the website. Just to let you know, if you have an experience already listed, please do check it out and let us know if everything is okay. If you want to change something, the text has been copywritten, so maybe you want to, to take a word off, or you want to put something else. Those that cannot find their experiences on the website, that means that they are still with the copywriter. So please be patient. Hopefully by the end of the month, everything is going to be there. And those that are not on the website and haven't contributed anything but would like to be listed, please do get in touch with us. We're going to have an email address where you can contact us. Okay, next slide, Chris. Yeah. As you can see, we have experiences all across Norfolk, and there's more to come. As I said, not everything has been copywritten and uploaded yet. It's quite easy to either to zoom in on the area where you're interested to go, or you can scroll down on the page and just like the activities, the experiences that you would like to attend. You see those white heart pins on the experience, so you just have to click on them, and that automatically is gonna save it for you. And when you go to the My Favorites tab, you're going to be able to see them. You have many options to filter the activities. What's new for this website is the inclusivity and accessibility, which we have included in the filters. So we have a wheelchair accessible, we have sensory activities filters, we also have the cost, which can be free, combined, paid for, and themes, which are quite diverse. And after you select everything, if you go to My Favorites, you will find here all the activities that you liked, and then you can just drag them and organize them on the right-hand side of the page, day 1, day 2, day 3. And then you can save your itinerary, you can edit it, you can view it on the map, and you can share it with friends, you can download it. So yeah. Okay. And that's it from me for the moment. I let Chris to start with the presentation.
Thanks very much, George. Hello and good evening, everybody. I'm Chris Brandt from Mr. Sport England. I'm just going to congratulate George and the team for getting the website, Be Norfolk website, live and there for you to start in your experiences and activities on there. It's a really great website, and it's really exciting that visitors are going to start using it and exploring what they can do, and they can plan their trip and their holidays using that. So if you're not on it already, do join and get involved. So if you've not met me before on one of these sessions or in person, as I say, I'm Chris from Mr. Sport England. Delivered a series of training now for the last year or so. We work across various areas of the country, helping businesses of all shapes and sizes create bookable experiences, but also deliver that support as well, and the training that we provide. And today it's all about how we actually give a warm welcome to everybody that we have on our experiences, but especially developing experiences and activities that are accessible and inclusive experiences. So here's what we're going to be covering this evening. We're going to be talking and looking at the target customers. So that's very much about those people we're trying to target, more accessible products, more accessible visitors people with accessibility coming on to our experiences, but also making sure we're inclusive. So we're going to be looking at those target audiences. We're going to assess how the accessibility of an experience or of your product or even of accommodation is done, and we've got some recommendations for you. We've got an activity as well where we want to hear from you about what you're doing so far to make your experiences or your business more accessible and more inclusive. So that's when we will turn off the recording button, and we want to turn over to you guys and hear about what you're doing already. And then we'll look to address the requirements of those target audiences, of those customer groups, and things that we might need to do to actually maybe able to welcome them even further. And then we'll look at actually how you actually meet that demand as well. And then once you've got that, we'll look at how you can actually market and promote your experiences, actually targeting these experiences to those customer audiences. I'll leave you with some next steps and some takeaways that you can go and do with lots of resources. And if you've got any questions at all, then we've factored in a Q&A session towards the end of the session, end of the workshop this evening. So if you do have a question, instead of hold it in your head for the next hour or so, pop it into the chat window. So just drop down your question or something you want to ask, put it down there, and I'll get to answer it at the end. And me and George will look through those at the end of the session this evening. So that's what's coming up. First of all, let's meet our target customer segments. First of all, we're going to focus on people with disability. There are 6 main core areas of disability that's been recognised by the Equality Act and the Equality Human Rights Commission, which you can find further details on their website. Those 6 areas of disability are mental health conditions, learning difficulties, hearing loss, visual impairment, mobility impairment, and disfigurement. So very variant in different ways, and each of those 6 are going to have to have experiences. Their experience is going to be different of your product, your experience. Now, 21% of the population in Britain have some kind of impairment. So it's a big percentage of visitors for you to tap into, a new customer base. If you're not doing this already, 21% is a lot of people here in the UK that you can be attracting, or at least attracting a proportion of that percentage. So again, it's not just brilliant that you can be more inclusive and make your experiences more accessible. Actually, it's good for business. It's good business sense to actually welcome these visitors by adapting your experiences and targeting them and marketing to these groups of people directly. Now, not forgetting, between 70 and 80% of disabilities are not actually visible. So therefore, not everybody you'll see is in a wheelchair, for example. Visitors may have a temporary health issue. It might be something that they're going through some illness and they're having to adjust temporarily. So it's a group of people that, still want to go away, still want to do days out. But again, you can appeal to this audience as well. It's visitors with a longer term health issue as well, a condition that they might be dealing with at that time and kind of having to adjust their life as well. And that's a massive change for people. So you want to make sure you are welcoming that group of people, and also older people as well with health problems. And this can range from people with diabetes to a whole host of different things. So it doesn't just benefit customers who you will attract normally. When you're actually focusing in on these groups, you're actually going to benefit so many more people. So what we find is tourism businesses with improved accessibility do appeal to a wider customer group. And therefore, it's not just people who have a disability that are going to benefit. It's the families, it's the older peoples, it's the whole customer segment that you're going to actually appeal to. And there are 6 main core pillars when it comes to accessible tourism. So that's what we're talking about tonight, accessible tourism. Those 6 pillars are information, a good customer service, transportation, facilities, and a built environment. So information is really key, really important. And as we'll see, as we go on throughout the evening, information is going to be a big factor. This group of customers want information up front, information online in different formats that says as much about your product and as much about your experience, your activity, or your accommodation as much as possible, so they can plan their holiday, their trip. They can actually check out, can they get to you? Are they able to actually get around? All that information is crucial for this group of customer. It's important generally for people generally, but even more important when we talk about accessible tourism. And good customer service. Well, we should be doing this all the time, and I'm very much sure you guys are already. But that answering questions and being there to answer those questions, or having an FAQ part on your website so you can answer questions. You know, is there steps going into the property? You know, is there, you know, is there a ramp to get in? All these different things can be actually included in that service that you provide to your customers. And transportation is also key. So we're thinking about the final mile, the first mile, and that last mile, how visitors can get to you. So it could be via public transport, or it could be about disabled parking, or where you meet your customer on the start of an experience. So transportation is another one, and the facilities that you have on offer as well. So you know, if you're taking guests to a site that you know you might want to check, and you will need to check if you've got a group of people with accessibility issues and they've highlighted that to you, you know, is the facilities right? Are the toilets right? Are those facilities available for them to use? And assessing that built environment is a big factor in what will shape your accessibility tourism kind of going forward, because what we want you to do is actually to assess what you've got and look at the venue, the location, the places that you might visit on your experience, or if you're at accommodation, then actually your own business. So there are 6 main accessible tourism pillars, and accessible tourism shouldn't be special. It should be very much about a part of what we all do, and we're probably doing it already. So actually, you know, yes, it's about meeting the needs of people with disability, but it's about not treating them particularly any special than anybody else. Every customer should be special. So people with a disability are looking to have their needs catered for, but they're not looking to be made extra special in a special way than you would be doing already. They want to fit in, basically. There's no awkward moments. They want to be able to access your facilities. And so those quick wins comes around messaging. So your messaging, that information we were talking about, is important. So using like phrasing like everyone's welcome, everybody can come and do this experience, easy access, and your information and maybe signage around your property or your attraction is that all that information you're going to be feeding that messaging to your customers, saying, hey, we're here and we're really friendly and we're open to everybody. So there's some quick wins that you can have by just kind of using the right language and the right messages as well. Signage with toilets, those kind of things, and just telling your guests about what you've got available. So if you think, you know, you've got stuff that you should be actually communicating, and I'm very sure you have, as we'll see later, it's good to communicate it. And they're the quick wins. And as we were saying, you know, there's many hidden disabilities as well. So it's not all going to be people that you meet who might, you know, not every, as I said before, not everybody's in a wheelchair. So remember those people who might have temporary conditions or health conditions. It could be things like asthma or diabetes or allergies. So actually, when you think about communicating, think about this wider audience. And as I said before, it's good to obviously welcome all visitors, but it's also good for business because the total expenditure generated those with a health condition and impairments travelling with companions in 2019 was £15.3 billion. So, you know, you want a slice of that. That data from Visit England, the National Tourist Board, in 2019. And we know that visitors with health conditions and impairments tend to actually travel out of season. And we know that this project is very much about extending that typically known lower season, actually extending that, getting people to visit from September through to March, and actually come in then, because it's more relaxing, there's less people around, their needs can be met ideally. And not only that, so they're traveling out of the typical high season, but they tend to be traveling with other people as well. So, they're going to go on holiday, maybe, with their family or a carer or a companion. So therefore, they're actually going to be coming with other people, but they're going to be staying even longer as well. So their trip, their spend, their dwell time, if you like, in your destination is going to be longer. Therefore, they're going to spend, on average, more money. So there's that kind of business opportunity in there as well. We move away from disability and impairments to being more inclusive, how we welcome everybody. And one of our kind of focus on this project is how we welcome lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender and queer plus community into our experiences. And again, sometimes it can be quick wins and subtle things around your messaging, but in particular your imagery. Again, this group doesn't want to be treated any special, any different than any other customer, but they want to feel welcomed. So using an image as we see on the screen of a same-sex couple within your marketing, within your social media, on your website, on your leaflets, etc., is a good thing to have. It shows that you're inclusive. It shows that you want to welcome everybody. I was just thinking back actually the other day, we're probably all familiar with the Hotel Inspector on TV. And I remember probably about 10 years ago now, there was a certain hotel owner, not in Norfolk, I'm glad to say, another part of the country, that said, oh yes, I'm going to paint I've got a special room for the gays. I'm going to paint it pink, which was completely wrong, speaking as a gay person. It was completely wrong. The messaging was completely wrong there. So you're not asking you to do anything different like that. It's about your messaging, your subtle messaging and your imagery. So it's very much about everybody's welcome. None of those awkward moments where you've got kind of his and hers kind of thing going on there as well. Another example I personally have, as a same-sex couple, a few years ago, arrived at a B&B and the owner actually said, oh, are you with somebody? I said, yeah. And they said, oh, do you want to go and get your wife then? It's those assumptions that make you feel really awkward, actually. So using the word your partner and those kind of things can really help and just avoid those awkward moments. And we're doing that already, many of us anyway. So just being sensitive to all of your guests, and actually just being more kind of open, that will give that welcome to everyone. Another group of guests that we want to see more and kind of feeling that more inclusivity is the Black, Asian, minority ethnicity group. Again, these group of people do not want to be treated any differently than anybody else we've been speaking about this evening. It's about being inclusive, and this can be done again by using pictures of people who might be Black, Asian or dual heritage, and actually feeding that again into the marketing mix. Again, that everybody's welcome and not feeling awkward or what have you. There's more data, local data for the county with Norfolk's Ethnic Minority Report, which you can find in the resources hub that George mentioned at the beginning of the session tonight. There's lots more data and information in various parts of that report if you want to focus down and actually see more data about travel across the county and tourism generally as well. Now we look at how we can access the accessibility of a visitor experience, because this is an important element. Now, we advise, if you want to go forward and hopefully welcome everybody into doing your experiences and your business generally, then actually creating an accessibility guide, is the best thing to do. So Visit England, Visit Britain have a free online tool which you can use. So it's all based through a website, and you can actually provide all of the information about your business, about your experience or activity, or it could be an attraction or a hotel or any accommodation. And this provides you with that report, basically, to say, this is my business and this is what we have got. You've got an example on the screen there. You can see the layout of it and how it works. The great thing of this is it allows you to assess your access to your business, but also it's going to be a great communication tool that you can then share with others, so your potential customers as well, so that they can use it before actually booking your experience, and it can be available on your website. So it provides not only a guide enabling you to make sure that you're doing everything you do and you can do, and also maybe new ideas that you can actually improve on. It actually provides that communication, that guide for the visitor and their family, friends and carers as well. So it's a good tool to have. And as I say, it's free to use on the Visit England website. We're going to watch a short video now, which features businesses already using this guide, and it describes how they benefit from it.
Sandcastle Water Park, created the accessibility guide because we felt there was a market out there actually we weren't even tapping into. So we try and get as much information out there before anybody needs to even come in here, so they feel they actually know our attraction before the visit. Since we've had our accessibility guide, a section of our business that involves people with disabilities, for example, has tripled. I mean, it was all about doing the right thing with our business, but we have noticed that actually, it's paying for itself.
Writing the accessibility guide allowed us to concentrate our minds on what accessible users needed. It highlights our strengths and weaknesses and allows them to make an informed decision about whether what we offer is suitable for their needs. In general, accessible users and staff alike, it's useful for them to see what we offer. It's been great for us, and I think with an ageing population as well, these rooms are going to be even more in demand.
I have learned that accessible tourism isn't all about wheelchair users, it's about anybody with any disability. So we're looking at customers who perhaps could have visual impairments, or they may have hearing loss. And so it's really making them welcome and not making them feel any different from people who don't have a disability. I have had to tell people what we've had up until now, which is quite time consuming in your business. The accessibility guide is on your website. You can direct them to that and say, go and have a look at it. These are the rooms that you're thinking about. Have a look at them. If they don't fit, let's have a look at some other rooms if we've got availability.
When we actually put a new version of the guide online and put it more prominently on the website, we had over 200% rise in the number of people accessing it. As a business, it's benefited us immensely. It seems like a no-brainer having it, because you want as many people to come, you want as many people to feel they can come. So a guide that helps more people to come, to use your business, what's to lose there?
There we go. There's some reasons there why the guide is so useful for businesses to use. Going to get rid of the excuse me for a moment. Get rid of the Vibo advert there. Product placement. They love YouTube. So let me give you an example of what one of the guides actually looks like. That's not it. There we go. No, there we go. There we go. So this is actually on the Visit Scotland website, which is also signed up, as well as Visit England. And it's a really friendly guide. So it's as I say, it's a guide for you as the business owner, but it's something where you get a website link and you can actually show it and put a link onto your website so that actually your guests can look at it. Lots of images on there, so really, as we heard in the video, the guests can actually look through and actually check that. So there's text and information, but actually having those visuals, those photographs.
Sorry,
really,
Chris, you're breaking up.
Okay, I think it's that slide again. I'm going to move on to this slide then. So actually how you prepare that accessibility guide then. So it's all about that information, providing that information onto the guide. So you'll need to sign up first of all and register, agree to the terms and conditions on there, and then you can start preparing your guide. So you'll need to go and use your mobile phone and take photographs. So if you're doing an experience, you need to do kind of every stage of your experience, whether that's taking pictures of stairs or steps or the path or what have you, or the doorway. Use those photos to actually tell a story, that journey for your customers, so they can make that information. So once you then produce it, or ask you through that a series of questions about your venue or the venues and the locations that you might be visiting through those photographs. And as I say, then it gives you a website address that you can copy and paste onto your website and also across your other marketing channels like social media. And actually your guests can then use it to actually make their decision about their stay or their visit to your business. So as we've been saying throughout the session this evening, it's about seeing that customer and not just the disability. And feedback is really important. So to ask and listen to your customers is generally important, or as ever, but particularly with this group of customers. So if you've got guests who have explained to you about their needs, have you for accessibility, check in with them, get information from them, see if there's anything you can tweak in your experience or in your business that would make it just a bit easier for them. And these, again, these are quick wins, things that you can do, depending on the size of your business, things that you can actually make improvements to make sure your guests feel that they are welcomed. So talking to your guests, getting that feedback and listening to them is a requirement. We're going to move on to our activity now. This is where we want to hear from you about what you're doing already to actually make sure you're giving that warm welcome to everyone. So what kind of things are you doing generally? And maybe tonight you've actually thought, oh, I didn't realize I was doing this, or to see in that video there with the guide, it might be something that you actually think when you're doing the guide, actually, oh, I didn't know we were doing that. So we want to hear from you, things that you're doing to make sure that you're being fully inclusive and meeting those requirements of guests. And then it'd be great to hear some from you as well on things that you might be thinking that you could do differently to further improve your accessibility. So we're going to pause the recording now. Then move on now to see how to address those requirements of the target audiences that we've been speaking about this evening. So it's really important we understand those markets, and again, focusing on the group of people we're looking with disabilities. Those core areas, breaking that down again, these are the four main ones. Visitors with access requirements related to physical impairments. And then we've got visitors with access requirements related to a sensory impairment. So we're talking about loss of a vision or hearing, or a change in vision or hearing. Visitors that have access requirements related to cognitive impairments, and then those visitors with long-term health conditions as well. So you might want to actually think about what can I do as a quicker fix? And focus on one of these groups, rather than saying, actually, I'm going to try and conquer everything and and do this all at once. Actually, it might be good to actually focus in and actually be more targeted. If we break down those groups into our panels here, you can see I've broken them into different things. And here's some kind of, again, some examples of things what you can do. Now, it depends on the size of your business. Many of you are small businesses, so some of these things are going to be not as easy and financially viable for you to go away and just do. And some of you are obviously in bigger organizations as well. But these are the type of examples that we're looking at. If I just run through them briefly, so visitors looking with those related to physical impairments. We're talking about car parking, accessible communication, the routes, the paths, all those kind of things. But almost the kind of things that you would expect, and many businesses are doing this already, which is obviously really good. So things like that, obviously, we're more aware of. But when we actually widen that and actually say those sensory impairments, actually communicating to people who might be deaf or have a hearing impairment, looking at ways how to do that. So things like face communication, having an accessible website, welcoming and saying that you welcome guide dogs and assistance dogs, those kind of things also are those examples there. And for visitors with access requirements through cognitive as well, we're talking about easier to follow formats as well. So using a lot of imagery in your information, could be on your leaflet or website, using widget information can be really good, and pictograms on signage. So we're hearing about the Wildlife Trust, about signage and things like that. Again, it's not just about having lower, but also having signage that really is understandable for everybody. And that can be done by using imageries and icons and pictograms as well. So actually you're kind of, not just thinking about height and things like that, you're thinking actually about how you actually present that information. And then our final panel there is the long-term health conditions as well. So people that might have, a dietary requirement, those kind of things as well. It's providing that kind of information through food and things like that. So these are just examples, by the way, but it's kind of breaking down into that. If you kind of focusing in one of these groups or one or two of these groups and actually saying, what can we do? What are we doing already? And this is what the accessibility guide on the Visit England website will ask you. We're not thinking or expecting you to kind of make, as I say, these kind of big changes in your business, but just to go away, see what's out there, especially if you're taking people to other venues in your experience. It might be that you actually, you're a guide and you take people to various different places. It's good to touch in with those businesses to see what they're doing already. And this is just a really useful kind of graphic I wanted to share with you, which talks about the journey of the customer from booking right through to actually doing their experience and actually staying with you as well. And it goes through those various stages of a customer journey, but it's quite a good one to use to think about that accessibility as well. How do you actually develop a truly accessible tourism offer and meet that demand of your customers? This graphic has been produced by Visit England, and I think it's a really helpful graphic because it takes you again on that customer journey of looking at what they call their top 10 tips on being more inclusive. And again, depending on the size of your business, what you do, some of these things will apply and some of them won't do. Things like, if we go straight to number 4, it's like information there being accessible, clear communication. Now, if you're a small business, you're not going to have a big kind of marketing budget to do all sorts. But again, making those quick fixes with strong imagery, having people that do have disabilities or impairments that are physical and you can see, or being more inclusive, that could be demonstrated quite easily and quite cheaply on your website. There are great stock imagery out there to use. You can speak to your local tourist information services as well. They often have stocks of images that you might be able to use. So actually just, that everybody can do that, and they can do that on their website and their social media as well. Now, as I say, as your business might be bigger, there are other things that, you know, having an emergency cord or actually providing other kind of information there, or actual resources might be something you go into. But I think for everybody on this call tonight, you know, making sure you've got strong imagery, showing your inclusivity with a link through to the accessible guide is something we can all do, and it's something we can all do quite reasonably as well. And those who are joining us tonight who might be an attraction, and actually, you know, a visitor attraction, then this one's really focused in on how you actually deliver your experience to your guests. So things like providing a quiet space for your guests to kind of just take in the scenery, take in the experience as well, can be a very attractive offer to people with more sensory impairments as well, or sorry, more cognitive impairments. And that clear signage, which keeps coming up all the time, having that signage available throughout, so no one feeling the sense of being lost, and they've got clear directions as well. So as I say, these slides will be shared with you anyway, but these ones are really good useful to use when you're actually looking to be more attractive, to being more inclusive to your guests. So that brings us on to the marketing angle and how we actually market and promote more inclusivity, but also how to be and promote into those target groups of being more accessible as well. Now, your information is going to be key, but you don't want to overload your guests with too much information. So this slide, as it demonstrates, far too wordy, far too much information, but I'm going to give it to you, all that information. But what your guests are looking for, they're looking for up-to-date, accurate and detailed information that's presented really clearly. So you're going to have hopefully you're going to go away and look at the accessibility guide on the Visit England website. So you're going to have a link to that, hopefully. But think about your imagery on your website that you can be using, you know, more pictures of your business, more pictures of your attraction. You know, if you're doing a guided walk, you know, put more pictures of that route and things like that throughout your social media and throughout your website. Think about the access statement as well. You know, having one of those, we heard from a business on the call on Tuesday, they provided an access statement, which again supports very much the guide we were talking about, and actually saying what you do have and what you're planning to do as well, and just gives that information to your guests so they can make an informed choice about visiting. And at the bottom there, you know, provide case studies from previous customers and guests. You know, not only are we saying speak to your guests and, you know, ask them questions, we're also saying, you know, hopefully they will, and they will have a great experience with you doing their experience. Think about actually asking them to give you a case study, a write-up, you know, not only a review, but actually, you know, writing about them and saying this, you know, this brilliant time I've had doing this experience. Use that, and that will give you great value to your business generally as well. Let's focus on some of the kind of marketing out there already. Airbnb, we all know. Generally, Airbnb are good for accessibility. So if you host a room or an accommodation on Airbnb, they have a really useful way of actually putting the details about your accommodation and asking you all the questions as the business owner, all the questions that their guests, all their guests have around accessibility up front. So you don't need to think about it in your writing up in your text, in your blurb. That's questions that you'll be asked, and that's really useful because then you can then use that on your own website and actually share that in other places as well. So Airbnb is doing that work for you, and that presents you with presents the guest with all the correct and accurate information, but actually you can reuse that elsewhere. When it comes to Airbnb experiences, then they have a policy where carers and companions with guests with disabilities are not charged when doing an experience, and that's really good. That's really clear cut. It's good positive message So if you're with Airbnb and you've got experiences and activities on there, you know, that's something to tick that box to say, actually, you know, guests with mobility or accessibility, they can actually bring somebody with them, a companion, and actually they're not going to be charged. So that's a nice feature that Airbnb are doing. And I know they are planning more around accessibility in the coming years as well. Social media, like everything, is you know, like all the different kind of things that we've been featured in the training. Social media is really key to get your business out there and to get those people booking. But there's so much you can do around influencers and bloggers. One of the main bloggers out there is Ewan's Guide. There he is. Ewan's created a TripAdvisor basically for access. So it's a review website where guests can review a business, talk about their experience, and there's various different reviews and maps and destinations. It's also like a directory as well, and it's the go-to place, or one of the go-to places for people who might be disabled. So check it out, ewansguide.com. It's a good to use. And again, you know, if you get guests, you know, wanting to give you a case study, not only do you get them to, you know, give you that information, get them to put that on there as well. And then again, you're targeting the audience that you're trying to attract. This is another really useful tool as well. This is from the Access It project. It's another European Union funded project like Interreg. And this tool is basically, it's like a test. It tests you on what you're doing. So unlike the accessibility guide from Visit England, which provides you with a report, it gives your guests a report. This is for you to check in to see what you're doing, what you can improve in, and what you can do better on. So it looks around the whole experience, the information that you provide, the design of your services, how you market, and the participation element in your experience. And I believe there's a link going out with this as well, so you can see that you know, after the session tonight or maybe tomorrow, you can see that and have a go at that. You do need to sign up to it, which is really easy and quick to do, and then you'll get this screen in front of you, and then you can do the test as well. So it's just another way, another support way of actually you testing how your business is doing. That brings us on to next steps, things that you can be doing and things that you can do differently. So here's your accessibility checklist. As we've been saying, you know, go away and develop an accessibility guide using Visit England's online tool. It's free, it's easy to sign up. It's something you don't have to do all at once, because you can create a login and then you can start it and come back to it, which you're going to need to do anyway, because you'll need to go off and take pictures and find out information as well. But that's going to be really the key kind of takeaway tonight, is to go away and do that. And then while you're doing that, and as you do that, you know, continue speaking to guests at start of booking, you know, so just checking in with them generally around anything that they might have, right, any needs or requirements as well. It's good customer service, and we should be all doing this anyway, but that's just a really good check-in to ask your guests if they need anything or anything needs to be done a little bit differently. So asking those questions up front from booking is a good thing to do. Research local public transport and accessibility as well, because you'll need to add that into your guide. So appreciate, you know, we don't all have bus routes passing our venues and you know, etc. But you know, there are local public transport out there and different things and services. You know, it's good to do a bit of research around that to see of new ways and things that you might have not kind of thought about generally. Just kind of connecting those missing links, those final links, whether it's like kind of putting a taxi service pickup from the train, your nearest train station, and putting the name of the taxi company. You know, you don't need to organize it, but having that information in your guide saying, you know, there's a taxi here, and it can, you know, it's going to be roughly, you know, £5–10, what have you. Presenting that information to your guests can make that decision, that planning, just a bit easier than actually going to find it out for themselves. An approach, as we were saying about with the Wildlife Trust, approach local access groups and charities and other organisations to come and visit your business and provide that feedback, because we can't do this all on our own. We can't do it all isolated, and we're trying to, reach out to quite a big, wide audience, and that audience is in no shape or form the same. So actually, there are various different access groups. Getting them to come along and actually, checking out your experience, maybe offer a freebie, and they can provide the free advice, and it gives you a good kind of bit of marketing as well. That's something you might want to go away on and put on your list. And train yourself. And if you do have any staff, which many of us on this call are small businesses, so we're probably doing this all on our own. But have a look out for any disability awareness training out there as well as this, and just kind of familiarising yourself and being more up to date with what's out there. So, checking in with different charities and the information out there if you are going to approach the different access groups, see what services and things that they can offer you as well. And be more inclusive. We've been saying about using more strong imagery of Black, Asian, minority, ethnic groups, gay, lesbian, bisexual, transgender, queer groups as well, and actually just feeding that messaging into your marketing as well. It's not a massive thing to do, but it can just make you you probably are inclusive already, but actually a lot of us don't do this. And actually just by kind of just generally feeding this in, just makes it feel everybody's welcome. So that's kind of a really quick win that we can all do. Oh, and don't forget to tell everybody about what you're doing. This is the biggest thing I hear from businesses all the time, saying, "Oh, I have been doing that. Oh, I've been doing that." And actually, talk it up and actually communicate better on what you do as a business around everything like this. And that can be repeated for lots of different kind of, the training that we've delivered over the last year. Talk about what you're doing and share with others and collaborate with others about that. And don't just sit on all this information. Often it's resource and time, and that's probably the reasons why we don't communicate about all these changes that we're doing. But if you're making that small change, tweet about it, Facebook about it, put it on your website, take a picture, actually talk about it. And here are some of those useful resources and tools for you to kind of go away and have a think about. So we spent a lot of, talking about the Visit England Accessibility Guide. Can't recommend this enough. It's a really great tool. Dedicate some time and resource to this, because this is really going to help you use that. And it'd be great to see you all using that and having those links on your website, so that more guests can use that to make their kind of their own assessment of whether they're going to book your experience or if they want more information. Rosie Jones is featured on the screen here. She's a brilliant ambassador for the disability community, features on Channel 4 a lot. She's worked with Visit Britain, the National Tourist Board, on creating short films, as well as a new TV series on Channel 4, where she actually goes out and tests attractions and experiences. She's been to Brighton, she's been to Blackpool, and again, it's somebody good to follow, someone good to kind of touch in and see what, because she's obviously been working with Visit Britain, but through that's kind of really expose that customer audience. So kind of check in kind of on the social media and see what else you can link into that. The Access IT test as well, we were talking about, that's a good thing to go away and do. And also the Visit England's Easy Does It Business Support Guide, which you can visit on the Visit England website. The UNSquatGuide.com, we were saying it's the kind of go-to place. It's almost like TripAdvisor. Get on there if you can, or even get your guests to give you those reviews. If you want more information about the Equality Act and the information around that and the legislation, there's the Pink Book, as it's known in the tourism industry. That is a big meaty document that has all the information about that. And there is a link coming out to you shortly, which has a link to that. So if there's anything you kind of want to read up on, that's the go-to place for tourism, the Pink Book. And just leave you on this, Purple Tuesday is on Tuesday, believe it or not, the 1st of November. So Purple Tuesday is a national initiative that helps businesses to improve their experience of disabled customers. So it's happening on the 1st. You can join up for free and create some social around that, hashtag Purple Tuesday. It's probably the hashtag. But if you've done anything then, or what you're doing already, talk about it on that day, because it's a really good day to kind of use that and get a bit of exposure as well, or even talk about what you're planning to do as well. So be a part of Purple Tuesday on the 1st of November. And that takes us into any questions.
It was great information and very useful. And I think you're very correct that a lot of people are doing many things on this direction. However, they do not know how to promote it, how to shout about it. And then obviously they are losing on this market. So next steps, if anything from what we said tonight inspired you, or you made you realize that yes, you do have an experience, please do contact us at experience@norfolk.gov.uk, and we can help you to either put your experience on the Be Norfolk website, or to, with anything else that you would like to develop your experience. We are also offering until December one-to-one business support. We have Deborah Brooks, who is a business advisor, and we can put you in touch, and she is happy to support you in developing your experience. As I said, the website is now live. Please do check it out. You can find a lot of experience there, and you can get inspiration for your own. And maybe you'll find something interesting around your own business, and you can collaborate and so on. Yes, the Norfolk Visitor Experience Show, 16th of November. Please do have a look on the registration page. If it's something that you think it would be beneficial for you, please do sign up. Everything is free. It's going to be a great show, about 15, 16 exhibitors so far. So yeah, would be good to see you there. And we are going to send a feedback form after this training session. So if you could please take a couple of minutes to complete those, we would appreciate it. Okay, I think that brings the session to a close. Thank you for coming, and I hope you found today useful. And thanks again, Chris. Okay, enjoy the evening. Bye-bye.